Thank you for joining me today on your mat. I am Jill Baird. This is Charlie. She likes to make an appearance at the beginning of every class. She gets excited when I start talking because she thinks I must be talking to her because there's no one else in the room. Today's yoga flow is going to be a mandala class. So what that means is we're just going to flow around our mat. We'll start out with our traditional warm up. We'll work up to our flow, and then we will end class with some cool down stretches. We're going to start today in a cross-legged seat. Go ahead, Charlie, go up to the bed. So go ahead and cross either shin in front, whichever feels most comfortable to you. Go ahead and close your eyes, grow nice and tall from the tip of your spine to the crown of your head. And then bring your palms to rest on your thighs, either facing up or facing down. And take a nice deep inhale breath, filling up completely, lengthening along the backside body. And an open mouth exhale. Empty out completely. Go ahead and seal your lips closed and continue taking those deep, expansive inhales. Powerful exhales with sealed lips and a slight constriction in the back of your throat, creating that ujjayi breath, creating that ocean-like sound with each exhale. Settling into your ujjayi breath, a couple more rounds. And on your next inhale, go ahead and blink your eyes open. Bring your fingertips to the mat in line with your hips. Loop your shoulders down and back into their sockets and lift your chest up towards your chin. On your next inhale, think about growing length from the tip of your tailbone to the crown of your head. And with your exhale, very gently drop your chin in towards your chest, just noticing that deep stretch in the back of your neck. With your inhale, go ahead and drop right ear over towards your right shoulder, feeling that expansion, the length in the left side of your neck and down your left arm. On your next exhale, very gently drop your chin in towards your chest. And then inhale. Ear to shoulder, left side. Opening up the right side of the neck, down the right arm. Let's do that one more time. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, right ear to right shoulder. Continue drawing those shoulders down into their sockets. Exhale, chin to chest. And inhale, left ear towards left shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. And inhale, come back to center. Go ahead and switch the cross of your legs. Go ahead and bring your right fingertips back down to the mat in line with your hips, keeping your left hip on the mat, left thumb on the mat. Inhale, reach your left fingertips up, creating length along the side body as you press your hips down into the mat. And bend into that right elbow. Gaze up towards your left fingertips if that feels good. You can bring the left fingertips over towards the right. Just be sure to keep the thumb back so the chest stays open. And then inhale, go ahead and come up and switch it out. Bring the left hand to the mat. Keep the right hip down on the mat. Bend into the left elbow. Extend the right fingertips up. And then gaze up towards the right fingertips if that feels good, or down towards the ground. And then if you did so on the other side and you want to stretch those right fingertips over towards the left, go ahead and stretch them over towards the left, keeping shoulders down away from the ears. This time on the inhale, come up through center, bring both hands overhead, pinkies slightly turned in towards one another, shoulders relaxed, crown of the head lengthens. Take a nice deep inhale. And on your exhale, twist towards your right, bringing your left palm to your right knee, bringing your right fingertips to the mat or the ground behind you, And then twisting, gazing out towards the right or back over your right shoulder if that feels good on your neck. From your core, inhale, fingertips back overhead, and exhale, right palm to left knee, this time left fingertips to the mat behind you. Peel your left shoulder open, gaze towards the left or back over that left shoulder, and ribs drawing over towards the left. Inhale, arms overhead, and exhale, go ahead and come into a neutral tabletop pose, stacking shoulders over wrists, hips over your knees. Go ahead and just kind of wag your tail side to side for a minute. And then we're going to go ahead and do some hip circles to warm up our hips. Take an inhale breath, and as you exhale, draw right hip towards right heel, left hip towards left heel, and then inhale, left hip up towards the left wrist, right hip towards the right wrist. Let's do that one more time. Exhale, press it back and around, and inhale as you come forward. Now hold here, and then we're going to switch directions. So as you exhale, left hip towards left heel, right hip towards right heel. Inhale as you come forward, right hip towards right wrist, left hip towards left wrist. And then let's just take one more circle. And then we'll come back to our neutral tabletop position. So turn your pinkies out towards the long edges of the mat. Find a nice space between all 10 fingers and really give a nice press between your thumb and your forefinger into the mat. Go ahead and tuck your toes, lift your hips, and exhale, downward facing dog. Begin to pedal out your feet if that feels good. Wag your tail from side to side, and you can always shift forward into a high plank just to make sure that the spacing between your feet and your hands is correct. And if it's not, just walk yourself to where you need to be, and then with an exhale breath, lift your hips up and back into that downward facing dog. So think about maybe lifting your thumbs up towards the ceiling as you keep the rest of your hand grounded into the mat, and notice how that creates that spiral, so the triceps drop back towards the feet, and then your biceps point up towards, in the direction of the ceiling, they sort of spiral in towards your head. And then go ahead and bring your thumb back to the mat and press back into that space between your thumb and your forefinger. Think of creating as much length as you can from the tips of your fingertips to your tailbone. Biceps are in line with the ears, chest is drawing back towards the thighs, and then go ahead and find some stillness in that downward facing dog. Walk your feet in the direction or towards the wide edges of your mat, and maybe in just a tiny bit towards your hands. Go ahead and lift your right hand and reach your right hand back for your left ankle or your left shin, just creating a little bit of a twist here. Gazing underneath that left shoulder and really pressing into that left palm. Draw your right elbow out towards the right side of your mat. Take another inhale here, and then exhale. Go ahead and bring that right hand back to the mat. Then plant the right hand as you lift the left hand and reach for the outer ankle, shin, or calf of the right leg. Give a really good press, like you're pressing your mat forward and away from you into that right hand. And then gaze underneath your right shoulder as you bend your left elbow towards the left. Creating some space, some twisting, some stretching here. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and bring your left hand back to the mat. Walk your feet back to hip width distance. Ground your left foot. Inhale, lift your right leg high. And exhale, knee to nose, tiger pose. Inhale, right leg lifts. And exhale, step your right foot up next to your right thumb. If it doesn't get there, you can just scooch it up. Come up onto your fingertips, or if you can keep your belly lifted away from your right thigh with your palms down on the mat. You can keep your palms flat on the mat. I'm going to come up onto my fingertips. Loop your shoulders down and back into their sockets. Chest lengthens forward in this low lunge. Guide that right hip back. And firm up the muscles in your left leg. Gaze forward. And on your exhale breath, step your left foot behind your right, coming into crossed forward fold. So your knees can be as bent as they need here in this first forward fold. Should feel a deep opening in the outside of your left hip. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Bring your palms to your shins. Loop your shoulders down into their sockets and then guide your shoulders back towards your hips as your chest draws forward. And then forward fold, fingertips back to the earth, sinking into that forward fold. Inhale, uncross, step the left foot next to the right, and come all the way up to Tadasana Mountain Pose. Palms overhead, shoulders stacked over hips. Create that neutral pelvis by dropping your tailbone down towards the mat and gently lifting your hip points up towards your low ribs. On an exhale breath, crescent moon, drop your left hand down your left side and reach the right fingertips up and over towards the left. Inhale, center, and exhale, crescent moon, stretch in the opposite direction. Right fingertips walk down the right leg, hips and shoulders face forward, draw the left thumb back, and gaze up. Inhale, Tadasana, mountain pose. And exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Hinge from your hip creases, slight bend in the knees, fingertips to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back, palms on shins or fingertips on the mat if you can create that flat back. And exhale, plant your palms, step back, high plank, and exhale, chaturanga. So from your knees or from your toes, elbows bent 90 degrees, elbows draw back towards your heels. Inhale, upward facing dog. Shoulders over wrists. Hug your shoulder blades together. Notice how that opens up your collarbones. And exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your left leg. Lift from the inseam and slightly turn the toes in towards one another. Keep the hips level. And exhale, knee to nose, tiger pose. Hollow your belly as you draw your left knee in towards your forehead. Inhale, lengthen, left leg lifts. And exhale, step your left foot next to your left thumb, low lunge. So lift the back of your hips, gaze forward. Pull the left hip back, right hip forward. Take an inhale, gaze towards your left toes. And as you exhale, step your right foot behind your left, crossed forward fold. Again, knees can be bent or straight. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. And exhale, fold. On your next inhale, uncross the feet, step the right next to the left, and come all the way up. Tadasana, mountain pose. Stack your joints, neutralize your pelvis. Exhale, crescent moon, up and over to the left, stretching the right side body. Inhale, center, and exhale, crescent moon. Left fingertips reach to the right as your hips and your shoulders square towards the front of the mat. Inhale, Tadasana, and exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, chaturanga. Plant your hands, step back, high plank from your knees or from your toes. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra if you lowered all the way down to the mat. And exhale, downward facing dog. On your inhale, come up onto your tippy toes, and as you exhale, drop both heels over towards the left. Give an extra press into the right hand, just lifting the hips up and back, creating space in the side body. Inhale, back to center on the tippy toes, and exhale, drop the heels to the right. Give an extra press into the left palm and lift your hips back as you press your chest back towards your thighs. Inhale, downward facing dog. Exhale, lift your tailbone just a little bit higher. Inhale, gaze towards your hands, and exhale, step your feet behind your hands, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Pull your belly button back towards your spine, chest draws towards your chin, and exhale, fold. Inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Sit low in that imaginary chair. Make sure that your knees are over your ankles and you can see your toes. And then begin to extend your arms out, shoulder height, neutralize your pelvis. So again, imagine there's a bowl of water in your pelvis and you don't want it to spill forward, you don't want it to spill back. Lift the hip points up towards the low ribs, and then if you can, without shrugging, extend your arms up with your pinkies facing in towards one another. Inhale, maybe find a little bit more length from your hips to your shoulders, and exhale, drop your hips back just a little bit more. Continue squeezing the knees and the inner thighs in towards one another. And on your next exhale, forward fold, surrender. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. And exhale, plant your palms, vinyasa, chaturanga. Pin the elbows into the side, hover. Inhale, upward facing dog. Press the tops of your feet into the mat. Turn your big toes in towards one another. I think I just said feet. Press the top of your feet into the mat and exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your right leg in line with your left. And exhale, right knee to right tricep or above as we shift forward into a plank. Inhale, exhale, draw the right knee across to tap the left tricep. This is a windshield wiper. Inhale, exhale, tap. Right knee to right tricep, and inhale, lift, three-legged dog. On your exhale, step your right foot right up next to your right thumb. Keep your left hand planted on the mat. Draw your right thumb to your right shoulder, peel open, and then inhale, extend the right arm up, simple twist. Continue to guide the right hip back, left hip forward. So think about your chest spiraling up towards the ceiling. Reach the right fingertips up as you continue to draw your shoulders down into their sockets. And on your next exhale, right hand comes to the earth. Stay up on your back left toes and inhale, come up, crescent lunge. So again, stacking joints, shoulders over hips. And then we want to create that neutral pelvis. So I like to take a little bend in my back left knee. And as I do that, I just guide my tailbone down and my hip points up. So again, that imaginary bowl of water in my pelvis isn't spilling forward or back. And now that I have the shape in my torso, I straighten into that back left leg. Inhale, imagine growing length in the backside body. And as you exhale, knit those front ribs in towards one another and draw them down towards your hips. We're going to hold for one more breath cycle, maybe getting a little bit shaky in that right glute and right quadricep for sure. And on our next inhale, we're going to open up, warrior two. So imagine you had a line down the center of your mat and that your front right foot was standing on the line. If we follow the line back, we would come out underneath our right ankle, right ankle, and then we'd follow that line back to intersect the arch of the left foot. Slightly turn the left toes in just to parallel the outer left foot to the side of the mat, and then give the quadricep, the back quadricep, the left quadricep a squeeze like you're using the muscles in that quadricep to pull your femur bone up into the hip socket. And then same thing on the right. Press the right knee out just a bit so that it's tracking over the middle right toes, and then spiral the right knee or the right thigh out as you hug the muscles into the bone. Soft gaze out over those right fingertips. And on our next inhale, we're going to open up to star pose. So pivot on the heels, heels in, toes out. Draw your tailbone down, lift your chest, coming into a bit of a back bend. Imagine there's a string lifting your chest up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, horse pose. We're going to sit down into a wide squat. So pressing into the pinky edge of each foot, guiding the outer knee out towards the pinky edge of the toes. And then again, tailbone draws down, hip points draw up. And go ahead and bring your thumbs to the inside of your knees. Take an inhale and exhale, press left hand, left thumb into the left knee to open it up as you gaze towards the right. Inhale, center. And then exhale, drop the right shoulder as you press the right thumb into the right knee and gaze left. Inhale, back through center, horse pose. Now listen, here's where it's going to get tricky. Exhale, warrior two to the back of the mat. So the left leg is bent this time and the right leg is straight. So shoulders stacked directly over hips. Squeeze that imaginary pencil between your shoulder blades. Fire up the muscles in the arms. Take an inhale. Exhale, extended side angle. Left elbow comes to the inside of the left knee. Right fingertips lift up towards the ceiling. Inhale, reverse warrior or peaceful warrior. Swim it back. Walk the right fingertips down the right leg, stretching through the left side body. And inhale back to warrior two. Exhale a little bit lower into that warrior two. And then inhale, open it back up to star pose. And then exhale, warrior two, back to the front of the mat. So right leg is bent this time. Inhale, straighten the right leg. Come into reverse triangle. And then exhale, triangle pose. Lengthen out of your hips. Create that triangle shape between your right armpit, right quadricep, my words are leaving me, and your right arm. Hug the hips under, tailbone draws back towards that left heel. Inhale, come back up, warrior two, and exhale, pivot, chest towards thigh, release your palms to the earth, step back to high plank, or if Ekapada Chaturanga is in your practice, we're going to float the right leg back as we inhale, shift forward, and then exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your left leg. Exhale, shift forward up onto those right tippy toes as you tap left knee to left tricep. Inhale. Exhale, left knee to right tricep. Lift it a little bit higher. Inhale. Exhale, left knee back to left tricep. And inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, low lunge. Channel that cat pose as you hollow your belly and step your left foot up next towards your left thumb. Keep your right hand planted underneath your right shoulder. Bring your left thumb to your left shoulder to peel it open, and notice how those right ribs begin to spiral under the body as the chest opens up towards the ceiling, coming into a gentle twist, simple twist. Reach the left fingertips up. Gaze can be out towards the left or up towards those left fingertips if that feels good. Inhale, create length from your tailbone to your crown of your head. And exhale, twist a little bit deeper. Take another inhale. And exhale, bring the left hand back down to the mat. And then inhale, high lunge, crescent lunge. So take a bend into that back knee. Organize the hips into that neutral position. Make sure your shoulders are stacked over your hips. And then as you bring those fingertips up, go ahead and straighten into that back leg. So the back heel stays lifted. 90-degree bend in the front knee, which is stacked directly over the front ankle. So again, with the inhale breath, lengthen the backside body. So imagine stretching from your tailbone up to the crown of your head. And as you exhale, think about guiding that left hip back, right hip forward. Can you relax your shoulders a little bit? And then on our next inhale, open it up, warrior two. So really firm up the muscles in the inner thighs. Imagine that you're trying to scrunch left heel towards right inner foot, right arch. Like there's honey on the mat and you're trying not to slip. Lengthen through the waist, sit a little bit lower into that bend in the front knee. Hug the muscles in the arm to the bone. Neck grows long, gazes out over those left fingertips. Sit a little lower on your next exhale. And inhale, open it up, star pose. So heels in, toes out. Hug the quadriceps in both legs to lift the kneecaps. Gentle back bend here. And exhale, horse pose. Sit low. Continue pressing the outer knees out. Take an inhale. Lift your right foot, right heel rather. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift the left heel. Exhale, lower. Stay here. Continue guiding your tailbone down. And then inhale, lift both heels. Sit a little bit lower. So really good hip opener here. I know it's a strengthening pose too. It's okay if you get a little wobbly, a little bit shaky. Inhale, star pose. And exhale, warrior two to the back of the mat. So the right knee is bent this time, left leg is straight. Hug the low belly in. Inhale. Exhale, extended side angle. So legs stay exactly as they are. Right elbow comes to the inside of the right knee, or your right hand can find the inner right ankle. Lift the left fingertips up towards the sky. Chest spirals up towards the sky. Inhale, reverse warrior, peaceful warrior. Side body stretch. So stretching from the right fingertips all the way down to the right hip. Inhale, back to warrior two. Exhale, sit a little bit lower. Inhale, star pose. And exhale, warrior two, back to the front of the mat. Inhale, reverse triangle, straighten the left knee, hug the hip, outer hips in, tailbone down. Reach the left fingertips back as you stretch the left side body. And then with your next exhale, hinge from the hip crease, lengthen as far forward as you can out of that left side, and then bring the left hand either to your ankle, your shin, the floor, wherever it feels good, and you can tick-tock your arms. So right arm is 12 o'clock, right hand rather is 12 o'clock, left hand 6 o'clock. Keep a micro bend in that left knee. Squeeze the muscle in the quadricep to lift the kneecap and give a press into the left big toe. Inhale, use your core, come up, warrior two. Exhale, pivot your chest towards your front left knee. Windmill the palms down to the mat. Step back to high plank, or if you took Ekapada on the other side, we're going to float that left leg. Inhale, shift forward onto the right tippy toes. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. and exhale downward facing dog. And that was our mandala flow. We can make them a little bit more complex, but for today, our quick flow, that was the mandala. So let's get into some stretching postures here. Ground your right foot, inhale, lift, or ground your left foot rather, lift your right leg. And exhale, step your right foot to the top right corner of your mat so that it's on the outside of your right hand. So we're in lizard pose here. Hug your right knee into your right tricep. Lengthen your chest forward as you guide your tailbone back. You can stay here on your palms and with the left knee lifted, or if you'd like to take it a little bit deeper, come down onto the left knee, scooch the left leg back a little bit, untuck your toes, and you can stay here, or you can come down to your forearms. Or if you have a block and you'd like to bring a block underneath your forearms, you can bring block underneath the forearms. So depends on what feels good to you. And then you can come to the pinky edge of that right foot for a little bit deeper stretch. So just make sure that that right knee, again, is tracking out over the right middle toes. So if your knee is spiraling out, that's fine. Just make sure that you're on the pinky edge of your foot so that the knee and the toes stay in a straight line. And then go ahead and let your head be heavy here. Maybe you draw your chin in towards your chest. So you should feel an opening in the right hip and also in the front of that left hip. So you can stay here in your lizard pose or come up to your palms for a corkscrew, for a quadricep stretch. We're going to ground that left palm right underneath the left shoulder. Reach the right hand back for the outside of the left foot, and then we're corkscrewing open. So chest lifts towards the sky, the left ribs spiral under, right ribs spiral open. And then you can guide that heel in just a little bit closer for that quadricep stretch. And then with control, release. And we're going to walk the right foot over towards the left side of the mat, coming into half pigeon here. So for me, I like to bend my right knee a little bit more. It's more of a 7 than a figure 4. My right shin isn't really parallel to the front of the mat, because if I force, watch what happens. If I force my right shin parallel to the mat, then my torso twists over to the left, and that's not what I'm looking for. So you want to create as much of a bend into that right knee that allows you to keep your hips and your shoulders facing forward. Gaze back over your right shoulder, which draws your right hip back and bumps your left hip forward to make sure that that left leg is in a nice straight line, and then surrender into your depth of half pigeon. So we also want to keep a space between the right bum and the mat. So if you need to slip a block under there to keep that space, you can slip a block or a pillow under there, but we don't want to roll down onto the right glute. Taking a little inventory here, noticing where you can soften, and then just guiding your breath into maybe your shoulders. Maybe your shoulders have crept up towards your ears. Maybe you can loop them down and back into their sockets. Maybe your mouth has tensed up. Maybe you can lift the corners of your mouth, soften there a little bit, smile. And continue your Ujjayi breath. And on your next inhale, walk up onto your palms, tuck your left toes, lift your left knee, inhale, 3-legged dog, gently lift that right leg, and then we're going to come into scorpion tail, so stacking the right knee on top of the left, and then drawing any circles that feel good here. Just opening up that right side a little bit more. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Ground the right foot, inhale, lift the left leg, and exhale, big step forward, left foot to the top left corner of your mat. Coming into lizard pose here, so making sure that that left knee is stacked directly over the left ankle. Left knee hugs into the left tricep. Guide the left hip back, right hip forward. And you can stay up here on the palms and the toes in lizard, or you can surrender the right knee down, untuck the right toes. And then again, you can stay up on the palms. You can bring a block or a pillow underneath your forearms, or you can come all the way down to the mat with your forearms, and then maybe shift to the pinky edge of the left foot for just a little bit deeper stretch. And anywhere you are, continue to guide the left hip back, right hip forward isometrically, so that we feel an opening in the front of the right leg, which is the hip flexor, and in the outer left hip, in that hip. And then again, find some softness. Melt your shoulders down your back, away from your ears. Let your chin come in towards your chest. If it feels good to rock side to side, you can rock side to side. And then stay here in your lizard, or if you took corkscrew on the other side, come back up onto your palms. Plant the right palm underneath the right wrist, extend the left hand out, follow the gaze of the left hand as you kick the left heel in towards the glute and reach for the outer pinky edge of the left foot. So chest spirals up towards the sky, which draws the right ribs over to the left, and then the left ribs are corkscrewing, spiraling back towards the right. Continue gazing out over that left shoulder or just towards the left side of the room. And if you can gently guide that right heel in towards your glute a little bit more, go ahead. But if you did and your breath got short and choppy, that's just your body's way of saying this is too deep and I need to back it off a little bit. So anytime you're breathing comfortably in that ujjayi breath, it's your body's way of telling you that this is exactly where you need to be today. Gently release the left foot, or the right foot rather, and walk the left foot over to the right side of the mat, preparing for half pigeon. Take a peek back over the left shoulder, which bumps the left hip back, right hip forward, and just make sure that that right leg is in a nice straight line. And then come back to facing the front of your mat. Make sure that your hips and your shoulders are in line with this front edge of your mat. And then you can come down onto your forearms, or you can bring your forehead down to the mat, all the while isometrically guiding that left hip back and then the right hip forward. Keeping that space between the left hip, the outer left hip, and the mat, either just by using your body or by placing a block underneath there. And again, softening, knowing that we're not going to be here for very long and doing our very best to stay connected to the breath. If the mind wanders, just gently begin to count your inhales and count the length of your exhale to match the length of the inhale. So if you do want to stay longer, go ahead and press pause. That's the beauty of practicing at home with a video, is that when there's something you want to stay in for longer, you can. Or if there's something you want to redo, you can pause and redo. For those of us who are moving on, inhale, come up onto your palms, tuck your right toes, lift your right knee, and then come into three-legged dog as slowly as you need to, lifting that left leg back behind you. And I'm going to go ahead and bend my left leg, draw my left heel in towards my bum, and then go ahead and draw any circles with your ankle, your knee, your hip that feel good. And then we'll come into our final downward facing dog of our practice. Inhale, gaze forward, and exhale, walk your feet through or hop through. Come up to a seat, extend those legs long or knees bent. Extend your arms out. Use your core as you slowly roll down onto your back. Go ahead and hug both knees into your chest. Bring your palms to the front of your right knee as you extend your left leg long. Flex the left toes back towards the left knee to keep those muscles nice and active. Flex the right toes back towards the right knee as you guide that right knee out towards the right rib cage. And as you do that, just hug your elbows in towards one another. So feeling a nice compression, a nice stretch in the hip flexor in the right leg. We're going to come into a gentle twist. Extend your right arm long to the side, and use your left palm to just gently guide that right knee across your body. So my right big toe comes to the mat. I can't bring my right knee all the way to the mat on the left side, because if I do, then my right shoulder peels up. And we want to make sure that we maintain a connection between the right shoulder and the mat. And then just gently gaze out towards the right if that feels good to you, with your eyes open or your eyes closed when I say gaze out towards the right. Draw your belly button up towards the ceiling so it's active in the core here. And then inhale, gently come back onto your back. Hug the knees into the chest, maybe rock side to side, reset. And then we're going to lengthen the right leg, flex the toes back towards the knee, keep the muscles nice and engaged like we're pressing that heel into the wall. Flex the left toes back towards the knee, and then guide the left knee out and around the left rib cage and in towards the left shoulder. And then just kind of think of hugging your elbows in towards one another here. Bring your right hand to the outside of the left knee, extend the left arm long. Left knee comes over to the right, gaze out towards the left. And then again, think of guiding your belly button up towards the ceiling, staying active in the core here, maintaining the connection between the back of the left shoulder and the mat. And then carefully roll onto your back when you feel even. Hug both knees into your chest. Give a little bit of compression this time, just feeling that little sensation in the front of both hips. It's a little release for the hip flexors. Take a nice deep inhale breath. Curl yourself up into a tight, tiny little ball. And with your open mouth exhale, find Shavasana. Take up as much space as you can. Be heavy on your mat. Come back to a natural rhythm of breath here. Relax all the muscles in your body. Let your tongue fall away from the roof of your mouth. Eyes are heavy in their sockets. And again, you can press pause and stay in Shavasana for as long as you like. If you're ready to move on, just begin to rock your head side to side, a little massage for the back of the skull. And then start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Extend your arms long overhead as you reach your toes forward for that good morning, good afternoon, or good evening stretch. Just depends on what time of day it is, but any time of day it feels awesome stretch. It's an awesome stretch for the front body. And then just gently begin to roll onto your right side in that supported fetal position. So drawing your knees in towards your chest. Right ear rests on that right bicep. Left palm comes to rest on the earth. And again, just take a moment to thank yourself for showing up on your mat today, for taking the time to move and breathe, moving meditation. So important for us to give back to ourselves. And then go ahead and press that left palm into the mat. Come up into a cross-legged seat. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will meet you back on the mat soon. Namaste. I will see you guys soon. The next class I'm going to do is going to be a more restorative deep stretch class. It'll probably be closer to an hour, but if there's anything in particular that you would really like to stretch, please leave me a message in the comments below. If you like the video, click the thumbs up. And if you can think of someone that would also like this video and you'd like to share it with them, please share. I'd like to send these videos to as many people as we can. Just keep everybody moving during this time when we're at home. Thank you again for practicing with me. I will see you next time. Bye, friends.